What is going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop Luke. In this episode, we'll be reviewing, no we won't be, we'll be previewing the Collingwood-Hawthorn game. Let's get into it. So on Saturday afternoon, the Pies take on the Hawks in the Hawks' self-appointed retro round. So they'll be wearing their retro jersey from the 99 Ansett Cup, I think they said, or 97 Ansett Cup. I don't know. I wasn't watching footy back then, so I have no clue. But it would have been nice, and before I get all these comments and stuff, it would be nice for us to wear our swooping Magpie jersey. I don't think that's going to happen. You know, it was our retro round against Adelaide, and our jersey didn't get approved. The people that I was talking to, they were saying that we're not going to wear it at all this year. It was looking like they were trying to get it approved for the Hawthorn game, this Hawthorn game. But alas, I don't think it's going to happen. I haven't heard otherwise. So before you come up and say, where's the swooping jersey, where's the swooping? It's not going to happen, unfortunately, from what I'm hearing anyway. That could change, who knows, but it probably won't be happening. But Collingwood, Hawthorn, it is going to be a big game for a lot of reasons. We need to find form again, and I don't mean just because we lost last week. We need to do what we were doing in the first 10 rounds. In these last 4 weeks, in the lead up to finals, when everything starts ramping up, we need to start gelling again. We need to start clicking again. But before we get into that, let's talk about Hawthorn, what we can do about them, what it looks like, and how they went last week. Last week, St Kilda took on the Hawks, and the Saints, look, the Hawks came out of the box straight away. They kicked the 2 of the first goals, and then the Saints kicked 9 goals for the quarter, and that was 9 from centre clearances. The Hawks got out-muscled in that first quarter, and St Kilda pretty much set up their win from the first quarter. Like, in the next 2 quarters preceding that, the second and the third, the Saints only could kick, I think it was 2 goals in the second, and it might have been 3 goals, or 2, I think it might have been even 2 goals in the third quarter. So Hawthorn were able to minimise that sort of St Kilda attacking that they had in the first quarter. But in that first quarter is literally where the game was won and lost. A couple of things that we can check for in that first quarter was St Kilda's dominance in and around clearances, stoppage clearances, centre clearances. 9 clearances that the Saints kicked, 9 goals for the Saints kicked from their centre clearances is the most that they've ever kicked from centre clearances in a quarter. That just shows me that even though you look on the stats and Hawthorn were winning the ruck tap outs, that their midfield, the Hawks midfield, they're a young, amazing midfield. Like, I've been a big Hawks fan this season. I love what they're doing, love what Sam Mitchell has been doing with the club. You know, they've got Ward, Newcomb, Warple, all these guys. Chad Wingard is still up and about. Sicily, obviously, their captain. So they've got a lot of these young sort of guys who are exciting, they're energetic. They were rollercoastering a bit this season, and that first quarter pretty much sums up their season, where they just got out-muscled, outworked, especially in the middle. Another thing with that was, if you can stop James Sicily, you can stop the Hawks. James Sicily, not only is he a defensive, king, right? An intercept king. A few rounds ago, he picked up 40 disposals, 22 intercept possessions. What the Saints were able to do for most of the game, but especially in that first quarter, was they were just putting a little bit of bodywork onto him, because it's kind of like Darcy Moore and like what Carlton were able to do. They weren't letting Darcy Moore, run and intercept, or pretty much any of our players run and intercept. So if you can get rid of that from James Sicily, all the other defenders have to work twice as hard, and Sicily has to work twice as hard. If you can see vision of Caminiti sort of running with Sicily, putting a bit of body on, Sicily gets hit, doesn't know what's going on. He loses a second or so, and then that's it. He doesn't run. He doesn't get that intercept possession. So that will really help us. We have to outmuscle Sicily. If you take Sicily out of the game, you take Hawthorn out of the game. But to their credit, in the third quarter, Hawthorn were able to get back, and I think they were within 11 points. And then St Kilda had to go in and put the pedal to the metal again in that last quarter, and they kicked 6 or something goals to end up winning that game. But Hawthorn, if you relax too much, like we saw with St Kilda, they'll just come back, because they do have that energy, but that energy in that game, it does roller coaster a little bit. So like I said, stop James Sicily and dominate in centre clearances. that would be the recipe to how we win this game. Now the Pies. Look, we don't have to talk much about the Carlton game because we've, beaten that to death already in the last couple of videos that we've been doing. But it is good to harp a little bit on, what we're doing really poorly in the last 10 or so rounds, that we were doing great in the first few rounds. It's that stoppage clearances, it's the ground contested ball, it's just being hard around the contest, it's scoring from clearances. So these things that were our DNA for the first 3 months of the season has started to drip away, and now we're ranked in the bottom 4, bottom 6 of the competition. And when I said that in the lead up to finals, this is what we have to ramp up again, this is a perfect game. It's come at the right time to say, okay, we're not doing X, Y, and Z right. And that was evident in that Carlton game. They just absolutely dominated us. We need to get better. This will be a great starting point. It's not like we went from Carlton to a Brisbane. We're going from Carlton to Hawthorn. And that's not to discredit Hawthorn because I think they're still a good side. But that is to say that this is the game where we can absolutely show our muscle, out-muscle this young Hawk side, and, show a bit of that Collingwood bravado, if you want to call it, that Collingwood spirit that we had in the first 3 months that we just haven't had. Like, yes, okay, the Port Adelaide game, you can kind of say that we had it. Port Adelaide played really well. We had to play even better. But that Carlton game, it just went lost, and that was probably our lowest point of the last 2 seasons, maybe. Not because it was Carlton, but I guess a little bit because of that, but also because we just didn't look like the Collingwood team that we've grown to love in the last 2 years. So this is a good way to start getting into it, harder at those contests, ground ball gets, if St Kilda can kick 9 goals from centre clearances in the first quarter, who's to say we can't kick 12 goals from centre clearances in the first quarter, you know what I mean? Or just in the first half or something like that. Because we should have bigger bodies in there. Taylor Adams, Braden Maynard sometimes pushes in there, Jack Crisp, Tom Mitchell, these guys, they're there for a reason, to win the clearance, win the contest, the ground ball contest, and get it out to the goal, get it out to the Dacosses, get it out to side bottom Pendles, and kick a goal. So that's something that we definitely have to work on in this Hawthorn game. Now, in regard to who comes in and who comes out of the team, we'll see that tomorrow night. Bobby Hill is a certain to come into the team. I think Mason Cox gets dropped. I think they can't go past Ash Johnson coming into this team. Like I said in my weekend talk, he's kicked 6 goals, 4 in his last 2 games, or no, 7 goals, 4 or something like that, in his last 2 games at VFL level. He's incredible, and I think he'd be a good foil to McStay and Mychek. Yes, he's another tall, but this guy can not only take a great overhead mark and kick him from wherever, he's good below his feet as well. So he's pretty much like a tall crummer, if you will. And then obviously the excitement of Bobby and his speed and his energy in that forward line was something we sorely missed last week against Carlton. Jack Ginnivan, do I think he gets a go? I would love to see him. He's played 3 really good weeks in the VFL. I'd love to see him play, but I just don't see it happening, especially that McRae said, yep, Bobby Hill is definitely in. I think Bobby and Jack can play at the same time. But, if Jack does get a go, does that mean that, who are you dropping really? Cox for Ash Johnson, fair enough. But then you've got Bobby Hill to come back into the team. Do you take a Will Hoskin-Elliott out who does a really good role? Is it Markov? I can't see anyone else coming out of the team that I can really think of besides Cox and Johnson being that switch. But Bobby Hill needs to get in the team. So Lipinski, I don't know. I'm really lost for what our best makeup looks like, especially in that forward line going into finals. Predictions and big calls. So my prediction is that McStay gets off the leash, kicks 4 goals against the Hawks. I think it will stifle Sicily a lot. And I think McStay, this might be his breakout game for Collingwood. Played a really good game against Carlton last week. I think that's going to lead up into finals. It's going to play a great game against Hawthorn, and I think he's going to kick 4. Scoring predictions though, I think Collingwood, I really do hope we put, our foot down, sword to the throat sort of stuff against the Hawks. And I feel like we might end up winning this game by 47 points is my gut feeling. It's what it's telling me. Like I've reiterated throughout this video, this is the game where, not so much a danger game, but we need to see something from the Pies that we haven't seen in at least the last month, right? And yes, oh cool, we're down at 3/4 time, we win. That's amazing. That's awesome. I love that. I love that narrative. But don't put me into that position. Don't put yourselves in that position, right? We need to be leading at 3/4 time. We need to be leading throughout the game. I want to start seeing 4/4 performances. You know, to beat the best, you got to beat the best. And we've got Geelong coming up. We've got Brisbane coming up. And then we've got Essendon, who that last game might come down to them wanting to play finals, right? So they're going to give us everything. And then obviously you get the lead up to finals. So it is going to be an absolute huge sort of game, and we need to see these fringe players with Will Hoskin-Elliott, maybe Markov if you want to sort of put him in there, Lipinski. We need to see these guys pulling their socks up and showing that they are required players in this team. So there's a lot of storylines going into this game that I'm really going to keep an eye out for, especially those stats of, you know, stoppage clearances, ground ball gets, scores from stoppages, scores from, you know, clearances and stuff like that. So that's something that we definitely need to look at, definitely need to tighten up, and it's going to be a very, very interesting Saturday afternoon. Look guys, I'm going to be doing my swooping around on Saturday afternoon. I'll do some stuff pre-game as well. Memberships are active. Hit the join button. It'll just mean the absolute world to me if you could do that. Support the channel and stuff like that. I love you all. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers, I'll swoop you later.